Hi, my name is Jeff and welcome back to my workshop. Today we're going to be repainting this CB&Q caboose for the Arlington Heights Society of Model Engineers freelance Arlington Valley Railroad. First step is going to be to remove the detail parts and disassemble the model. So after the detail parts, I removed the trucks and the car bodies. As I'm doing that, I did want to let you know this will be a 3-part video. If you're watching this on the day that I posted it, part 2 will air tomorrow and part 3 the day following. If you're a longtime subscriber, you know that I normally post videos a couple of times a week, with shorts in between if I can, and I apologize for not having posted in a while. This project ended up taking longer than I expected, but I do hope you'll enjoy it. Speaking of which, if you do find this video useful in any way, or you learn something from it, please make sure you give it a big thumbs up. It does help the YouTube algorithm. Also, leave a comment. I try to answer all comments in a timely manner. And so you don't miss parts 2 and 3, please make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you are notified when the video posts. I try and post my videos at 3 p.m. Central Time, so you can watch for it then. Okay, with the trucks removed, I'm now going to try and get the body off of the underframe. It took me a minute to remember that Athearn on the cabooses used a tab on the ends, not on the sides, the way they do on their freight cars. Once I figured that out, I was able to pop that tab loose. It's located at the door on the ends of the caboose, and once you depress that, press the in on the door, the end pops loose and you can remove the caboose. Okay, with it disassembled, we're going to get ready to strip the paint. The caboose's body is going into that old ice cream container that I'll be using to strip the paint in, with 91% isopropyl alcohol. The underframe parts are unpainted, so I don't need to worry about those. So I filled this so that the caboose was covered and soaking in the isopropyl alcohol. Depending on the paint used and whether there's been a clear coat applied, this can take anywhere from a couple of hours to up to 3 days or more. In the case of this project, it took 3 days for me to get the paint off. I think there was a clear coat applied to it by the previous owner. And in the end, I ended up not just scrubbing with an old toothbrush, which is what I usually use, but I actually had to take a piece of dowel rod that I sharpened in a pencil sharpener to scrape the paint off, and also a toothpick to get into some of the details. Here's the strip model, fully disassembled. And we're going to now reassemble the underframe so we can paint that. For the underframe, I'm using Vallejo Hobby spray paint. The color I'm going to be using is called Panzer Gray. Here's the can. I like this for underframes in places where I want a kind of a dirty black finish, but not a true black like an engine black. So I also painted the trucks with that Panzer Gray. So the next step will be to remove the plastic wheel sets that I left in the trucks for painting because they mask the journal ends. And then using this truck tuning tool, I'm able to clean out those journal ends of any flash or plastic that may not be perfectly in line with the truck, and just get a good shape on it. And you can see I'm kind of pushing down on those journal ends to hold that in. I can actually feel it turning and cutting, and so I can feel when it has cut through and has a smooth finish and is done. If you find that tool something you might want to add to your collection, I'll leave a link to it with Amazon in the description below. Please be aware that if you do purchase through that link, I do make a small commission on it, and I do appreciate it, so thank you in advance. But once done, you can see the wheels turn very freely in there. The wheel sets I installed are Intermountain metal wheel sets. The Club Standard is a metal wheel set, so that is what I use, and I happen to like the Intermountain brand. Now we can take the screws out and separate that center sill piece from the underframe, so we can install the couplers and the trucks. Athearn designed that center sill piece to include the coupler pockets, and the floor, bottom of the floor, actually serves as the coupler pocket cover. So you have to kind of get it all pieced together as you're screwing it in place. Okay, so once the couplers are in place in the pockets, I can put the truck in place, and using my screw grit, I'm going to start by trying with the screwdriver, but that didn't work. So I'm going to grab my screw grabber to hold that screw and set it in place right where I need it to be, and even give it a couple of twists to get it started. Another useful tool, and I will leave a link for that one in the description as well. And while I'm installing the trucks, I'm also making sure that they're tightened down to the point they need to be. You want to make sure that your trucks swing freely, and you have a little bit of wobble in one and none in the other. That'll help keep the car stable as it rolls down the track, even if the track is a little less than perfect, because it always is. Even if it was perfectly straight and smooth when you laid it down, expansion and contraction of the subroad bed can cause things to change a little bit, and by having your equipment set up properly, it continues to run smoothly. So with the trucks installed, we can install the steel weight on the top, and that just screws down through the little holes at the end of the weights into the floorboard and also into that center sill piece. So it helps tie everything together from both sides of the model. The coupler isn't swinging as freely as I'd like. We may have to revisit that. And in fact, I did find that one of the whiskers got caught between the coupler box and the floor of the car, which was causing it not to center itself. It just took me a little while to figure it out. With the couplers in place, now we can get a piece of test track with the Katie coupler height gauge on it and check to make sure that we are at the correct height for the couplers and that the steel uncoupling trip pin is not hanging too low. And we are good here. Flip it around. We're also good, but we're definitely not centering on that coupler. This is where I discovered that the whisker was stuck. Once I got that resolved, I was able to fix that. Okay, now we're ready to paint the body. So I started by adding a coat of Painter's Touch 2X Gray Primer, and then I started masking along the rivet seams just below the windows for the red, which will go on the bottom of the car. Now the car features are the club's heartbeat logo on the side. So to get that done so that I can get the red and gray to follow the line of that logo, I created a template using one of the decals. And this template allows me for masking. So with that in place, I can run masking along the sides, as you'll see here. And after fiddling with the first side to get it right, I realized that it'll be easier if I just let the masking tape hit the edge of my template, and then I can cut through using the template as a guide for my knife and lightly slice through the tape, as you see here. And then removing it very carefully so as not to disturb the paint off the model. We want to just be able to pull it down, and then we can make sure everything is pushed down well against the model. And we'll do the same thing on the opposite side. So once all the masking is done along the edges, we're just going to use some 2-inch blue painter's tape to cover the upper part of the sides, ends, and roof. Once this is done, once all the masking is finished, I'll give the model a light coat of the gray primer again to seal the edges of the masking tape and prevent paint from seeping under the tape. Because even if the gray does seep under it, you won't be able to tell because it's the same gray that's already on the model. And that'll help prevent the red from seeping under where you would be able to see it. Now we'll take this outside and give it a coat of the gray. Once the gray has dried, then we'll put the red on it. And here's the model painted. Time to reveal how it turned out. So we'll start peeling off the blue painter's tape first. And then we can start removing the yellow masking tape along the edges and just kind of pull it straight back along the edges. And you can see how the masking created that heartbeat in the red and gray. And did a fairly good job of it. Next video we will be decaling this, so between now and then I will give it a gloss coat. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and please stay tuned for part 2.